Hello, hello. Here we go. Kraig Smyth, MyBizGuide. This is another edition of Disengage from Linear Mindset. Today's topic, Deconstructing the Oppressor. Note that I didn't say deconstructing oppression because that would be pointless because we're dealing with people. We need to get to the individual because everything flows out from within. So we're going to get to two individuals. We're going to get to this individual and that individual. We're going to talk about them from a human development perspective. And we're going to talk about finding angles in which we can see the course of change, because really that's what it's all about. You have to find something that works. For me, a big thing is finding a philosophy that works, finding a narrative that works in our challenge. So oppression and the oppressor is our challenge. So we're going to be finding a narrative that works for us. And I'm already going to go back 1 second and say, because we're talking about the oppressor and not oppression, we want to say it's about focusing our energy and where we focus our energy. You know, we can't, when we start saying oppression, government, large corporation, XYZ, there's no energy focus there because we're talking about a concept. So we need to understand that we have to focus our energy on individuals, not just let our energy go to, vague concept, to business, to government. Those are horrible places to put energy. So to be specific about where we put our energy, and yes, we're going to be talking about putting our energy, specific energy, on people and holding people accountable. And I think that if you follow how protectors have talked effectively, and how throughout the course of history, how people have accomplished things by speaking the truth to people who are in positions of the oppressor. So the first thing in deconstructing the oppressor, to know where they're coming from. Oh, whoops, going to backtrack again. And we're not talking about government. We're not talking about, we are transcending government, because government is a construct of the oppressor. So when you start talking about laws and all that kind of stuff, we're not doing that, because that's you already lost there. All right, we need to see individual. When the consciousness of humanity understands some basic truths, then we're not going to have all these laws. For one, because there would be no need, because we understand these things. Okay, so there's a lot I could go into there, but I'm not going to right now. The first thing you have to understand about the oppressor is, in order to transgress, to trespass against someone else, the first person that you trespass against is yourself. All right? So by ignoring our own moral compass, and yes, everybody has one, the oppressor has ignored their own moral compass. The transgressor has ignored their own red flags. Wow, easy for me to see. The oppressor, having a hard time with my words. The oppressor has ignored their own moral compass consistently. So they're the first person, they're hurting themselves first. And when we talk about moral compass, a lot of people think about morality, but actually I don't like that term, because those things translate to right and wrong in the technical aspect. Because if we don't listen to ourselves, we don't listen to anything else. after that, and listening is receiving information. So if we're not receiving information, by default, we're not going to be as intelligent. We're not going to make accurate decisions. We're not going to have comprehension about a lot of things. Did you follow that? The first thing someone does is they ignore their self. They ignore their own energy. So if they ignore their own energy, then of course they can ignore other people's energy, right? So understand, we're talking to individuals that are broken. When you try and speak to an individual that's so far lost and you're speaking to them from your perspective, you have to understand that's not where they're at. So one of the things that we hold energy to this information when we're talking to someone that's clearly not responding to reality, it's not responding to shared humanity, it's not responding to equality, that's not responding to natural law, the understanding that we need to keep the earth whole in order for us to be whole. You have to understand they're a long way from having this conversation because they put a block on their self first before they put a block on someone else. So we have to be think about speaking to individuals that have continually hurt themselves. Much like an addict, again, if you're talking to someone, and if you're used to talking in the world of addiction, this is going to translate really easy. Just think they're addicts because it's the same basic process, whether there's a physical substance or not. The person is trying to hide. They're trying to cover something up, so they cover themselves up because that's the easiest way to block everything out, right? So understand what these people are doing. They're covering themselves up. And so I've said that we need to heal them before they'll stop hurting us. And I believe that. And I also believe that we have to have the right mindset when we're dealing with this challenge of the oppressor. And so we also have to know that there's many things happening at the same time. So at the same time they're doing these horrible things, it's also stimulating our growth. So for every challenge, and this is a life and death challenge, but there's also something beneficial that's coming out of it, and that's for us to know, because we're not giving them that, of course, because they're not on that level. They're not in a position to receive that information, but we are. We know that all these challenges, everything, where would we be in human development if it wasn't for them, if it wasn't for these people that set such horrible examples? And there's lots of traditional cultures that point to lessons from people that are backwards. So it's a thing, and you understand that everything on this planet has a place, and for every challenge, there's a solution. So we have to understand that for every challenge, there's a solution. So when we're battling oppression and these things that we must win, by the way, this is life and death, absolutely, we still have to carry these understandings with us, because that's part of our truth, and that's part of what we bring into our energy, and that reflection is what scares them, but also what can move them either out of the way or to growth. So understand, now I'm going to circle back to the oppressor. So when the oppressor has stifled their own development, but we all feel energy, that energy connection is always there. but the oppressor has stifled their own connection. So the scariest thing for them is to feel the energy of somebody who hasn't. So to feel the energy of someone who is connected with everything, who is involved with paying attention to themselves. What I truly think is that these people that have disconnected from themselves, disconnected from nature, or trying, because there's no real disconnect, and that's what we know. They're lost. They're faking it. It's like you're not even in reality. These people, they're trying to deny reality. They're trying to deny energy, and a lot of people, a lot of POC, a lot of people of color are closer to having a relationship with the earth than these people. So I think that with the earth and with themselves, and then also anybody who's been in tough positions, it has more of a inclination toward introspect. And that introspect, anyone that has introspect, we carry these energy, our energy grows as we grow. And so when someone who is avoiding their introspect feels the energy of someone with introspect, that is scary to them. And so they feel like they're backed in a corner. I'm kind of giving them some latitude because they're not really feeling, but their reaction is that of a scared animal. So if we talk about deconstructing oppression, it's these people that are backed into the corner via their own fault, and then they sense someone just being a real person, and that is that's scary to them. That's a threat to their delusion. It's a threat to their illusion that they've manifested for themselves. It's a threat to their very thin lie that they're holding on to, that they can lie to themselves and then other people. And so we need to call them on this lie. We need to cognitively understand that first they're lying to themselves, and we need to understand that when we're speaking to them. But they're backed into, they're acting like a wild animal that's backed into a corner. Well, not really, because it's their own construct. But then if you think about a historic timeline, these people that have backed themselves into a corner, and then they don't want to feel anything that's going to threaten that. And so they start making laws, and they start pushing people away. Hey, I don't want to be around you because I sense this good energy. This good energy that we have is what they're most afraid of. Am I right? Everyone knows this, right? So obviously that's what we need to hold. And that's what moves things. But I just thought it's important to clearly understand where these people are at, where these people of the same species are at, and then we know ourselves. We can have conversations like this because we've all been on the same path. We've done our introspect. We've noticed this disconnect in these people. They're not there because they're trying to hang on to that. They're trying to keep this little curtain up, But what they've done is understand the leverage we had. Sorry, I'm skipping around a little bit, but understand the leverage we have, in that they have this one little thing that they're trying to block out, their instincts, but so they're kind of like holding these glasses over, but instincts are all out here, and everything around us and all of nature is on the same page. So they've got that. They're translating to themselves that everything's against them and that these are threats when they're really not. But again, that translation is a lie also. So once you lie to yourself on energy, once you try to ignore that energy, that instinct, everything else on top of that has to be a lie, because they're building on that foundation of to ignore ignorance. That's the way I see it. But they're not paying attention to their instincts, and so they're trying desperately to hang on to this delusion that they've created. And yeah, any feeling of reality even is a threat to their delusion. So they try to push everyone away physically that represents a threat to their delusion. So they've built all these, and they gather all the other people that are willing to follow along with their delusion around them, and they build these constructs that are separate from reality. And I'm talking about the U.S. government. I'm sure other governments in specific, because it comes from the same mindset, And why is there's a monetary system that doesn't recognize the natural system. There's a government system of laws that doesn't recognize natural law. So the disconnects, and I could talk a lot about that, but there's disconnect on top of disconnect on top of disconnect on top of disconnect, and forever and ever, as long as these things persist. So we need to, by understanding ourselves, by understanding our species, we need to be able to articulate these things to these people and not let them lie. Just like it's the same thing. If I was telling you right now, no, I'm not wearing a hat. Yes, you can see I'm wearing a hat. If I say I'm not wearing a hat, that's a lie. If these people that are ignoring their instincts, that's a lie from the beginning. So I just say that because a lot of people get so stuck on the government and laws, and you're playing their game. Then you lost when you start playing the laws game. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but I'm just saying understand where you're at. Every little bit helps, absolutely, but and when you say they're mean, they're greedy, they love money, those are all losing angles for us to hold. The winning angle, the accurate assessment of the situation, is before all those things, they hurt themselves. They keep stabbing themselves in the heart, is what they're doing. In the heart, I mean, in their being, in their, everything, mental, emotional, spiritual, all translates back to the physical. So understand that these people are hurt. They're hurting themselves. So we need to know these things and not let ourselves get caught up in that false narrative that they've constructed. We can't let ourselves get caught up in the laws and talking about, well, the laws were built on oppression. Yeah, of course they were, because they were built by oppressors. That's great. You're still spinning your wheels on the laws. The laws will change when the people change. Don't treat the symptom. Don't treat the symptom. We need to not focus on the symptom. We need to focus on the cause. The cause is these people have ignored themselves first, so they put their own blinders on, and they're hurt, and they're disconnected, and hurt people, right? So there's a lot of people out, and I know it gets tense in the streets and confrontation and everything, but I'm saying we need to talk about human development, speak to them from the human development that we know from our introspect. Speak to them as we are the authority. We are, if you're going to use those stupid words, we are the authority because we are human development. We are on the path of human development. We are on the path of personal development. We are on the path of sustainability. We are the development. We don't need no stinking badges, right? When we have to hold that, we have to own that. Don't let their colonial place mean anything. the uniform doesn't mean anything, just like the uniform doesn't mean anything. These places that are bought into and, educated into, those don't mean anything. It's all introspect. We don't need any paperwork. We don't need any document saying that, we understand these things and here's science proving it. We don't need those things. Those are all constructs of oppression, and we need to let that flow through us when we talk to people like this. So I guess that's really what I wanted to say. I just wanted to, offer some support if possible, and talk about, transcending the contemporary constructs of the oppressor and speak to the oppressor from an angle of authority in the situation. The situation is being human. And by the way, my thing is the business of being human. So, look at this from that angle. Look at it from, hey, this is a business. We got to take care of this. We have to, and it is a life and death situation, but it's helping us grow too. So we need to grow through this. We need to put our energy in the right places, and we need to grow through this, on a level that transcends all the paperwork. So that may have been a little bit choppy, and I apologize for that, but hopefully people were able to share a little bit of sentiment in that and understand some of the core concepts of deconstructing the oppressor and the angles that we need to hold within ourselves when we're doing that, to let truth flow through us the best we can. And so much respect to everyone on this path of change and making change happen, being the change, right? And everyone, so take care of yourself first, take care of your wellness. Everything flows out from within. So Kraig Smyth here with MyBizGuide, Business of Being Human, another edition of Disengage from Linear Mindset, Deconstructing the Oppressor. And have a great day.